It looks like we are missing Sierra.
Okay, but
If
we at least,
I'm,
yes, but we at least have a quorum.
we do, yeah. There
Okay,
are
great.
5 of you here, so.
Sweet. So I will call for an approval of the minutes. Is there anybody who wants to submit any changes of the previous meeting's minutes?
And here I can bring them up real quick, just so everyone can look over them one more time.
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Who was that second? I'm sorry.
Roxy.
Roxy, thank you.
All right. Could you go back to the agenda? please?
Yeah, I'm working.
Oh, we all have to do like so many different things, huh? All right. And so do we have any visitors or public comment?
Not unless Jason's gonna chime in real quick.
Jason still in his jammies?
I think he's just our tech help, so.
Yeah.
I believe it's just Board and me that's here today.
Okay. So if we don't have any visitor or public comments today, let's move on to the board business, which is onboarding Stephen.
So yeah, all I wanted to do with that, the reason why I put it on there, Stephen's official. Stephen, did you get a copy of the letter?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I got one. I've got a board file that I've got that I'll keep that in there just in case you ever need a copy of it or whatever,
Okay.
or we need to prove that you're a real person. Then we can do that with that. But obviously, I'm assuming a lot of things here that this is your first go on the library board.
Correct.
And so I know that between you and then Leslie mentioned it last month as well, that she's still new and getting settled. I just thought I'd put the opportunity out there for some training, either with me, with some more seasoned members of the library board if they'd like. However we went on to do that, but I didn't want you or anyone else to feel like they had to jump in blind.
Oh, I'm just new at running things. I've actually been on the board for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I like training though. Anything is fun.
So then my question is, would you rather do a like one-on-one, two-on-one? What is going to work best for you, Stephen? Or are you more of a, here's a bunch of links with a bunch of stuff you can read about library boards specifically in Oregon?
Yeah, why don't we do that first, Patrick? Because, you know, in this world of COVID, a lot of things that would be normal functioning of the library is not normally functioning right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because, yeah, it'd be fun to, you know, just drop in and see the behind the scenes operation and things like that. But we'll have to wait for a while. Wait for that vaccine.
Yep.
Yay, vaccine.
Okay. I am happy to send those on to you. Additionally, I guess this goes along with the board business and onboarding as well. The state library has a subscription to the United for Libraries trustee 10-minute takes, short takes is what it's called, trustee short takes. Is that something that everyone is familiar with? Everyone besides Stephen? I'm assuming, Stephen, you're not?
No, I'm not.
I'm familiar with it, but only because I'm on the state library board.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's the only reason I know it exists, because we use it like as board members for that library. It is really handy though. So for everyone, like if you've been on the library board for quite a while, it's a really good resource.
So I was thinking of ways that we could all kind of come up to speed, me being new here, everyone else being new. And so that being free just spoke to me right there. There's 2 ways that I've seen it work in the past. One is that everyone kind of has their 10 minutes of homework between meetings, and we all say, okay, this is the one video we're all going to watch on our own time. And then during the board business, we take 5-10 minutes to talk about it. Or I've seen both online and in person where everyone sits down and watches that as part of the board meeting to make sure that everyone is able to access it and then talk about it after that. Is there a preference for those? First of all, would we like to do something as a board with those? And then second of all, if we do you want to do it prior to meeting and discuss, or would you prefer to do it at the meeting together?
Is this something that we can learn about and implement during this pandemic? I mean,
Yeah, it's all online, so it's.
no, I mean, what is it it's telling us to do? Is it some kind of programming of some sort? Or?
No, it's just roles and responsibilities of a public library trustee specifically.
Okay, then. Would that just be one meeting involved in that? Or?
It would just be, if we did it as the meetings, it would be 10 minutes at the beginning of each meeting, just kind of a refresher course on one certain thing. So they've got lessons on how to evaluate your director. They've got a session on financing and how you go to bat as a library board when you're talking to the city, you're talking to the council, the county commissioners, or however it ends up being. I mean, it's city for us. Or, they have all sorts of things. Difference between setting policy and implementing procedures and director versus board roles. So just different topics like that, but they're all 5-10 minute videos is all.
Well, I would be interested in watching them. Maybe we could do it together as a group and then discuss it briefly at each of the meetings. That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, Leslie and Patrick, I'm not sure how many videos there are. It'd be interesting to get the link to at least look at it, because very definitely if a typical monthly meeting completes to where you still have quite a bit of time left in an hour slot or something, to be able to have a group watch and discuss. And I would even defer to you to rank some of this in some orders, because part of what I feel, Patrick, your role is to we oversee your operation, but you also give us guidance on things that the library could benefit from, and bring it to your board's attention, and then we could have some informed discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Stephen has a good point that right now, just with COVID going on, like definitely our board meetings have been shorter than they normally have. I mean, usually when the library's up and running, we do have more stuff. So maybe we could just utilize this time to like maybe watch one video together as a group.
Okay.
And then discuss it like each meeting. I would be open to that too. I think it would be a good use of our time.
So we can add that to the agenda for next month, just one video at a time. And as long as we're meeting virtually, do it that way. And then revisit once we're able to meet in person, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay. I will make sure that's on the agenda for
Is everyone else
board business for next meeting.
Is everyone else okay with that?
Yep, I think that's a good idea.
And maybe Patrick, if you could send out the link and people can go poke around. It is a really good website if you're interested in kind of how what the expectations of boards like this are, and different boards in Oregon, because there are different ways that libraries approach what we do as well. So it's pretty good. I might be biased because I'm on the state library board, but it's a good resource.
And just so everyone knows, you do have to click on a place to ask for a registration, ask for a login. So when I send you the link and it asks and it sends you to that, it's doing what it's supposed to. It's not, you're not getting fished for something where you're not supposed to be.
But also I will say, if any of you have any problems with it, I like more than just getting a registration, let me know, because I do know that the tech people who run the website. So I can at least let them know that it's not working for people.
Great.
Okay, so I will send you a bunch of stuff to read, Stephen, it sounds like, and then we'll plan on the short takes as a group starting next month.
I would like to socially distantly see the new carpet.
You can give me a call and we will set up a time.
Even if you just open the door and are like, here's the new carpet. Just
happy to have you. Nancy can vouch that it's
so
there.
Much that I would just love to see it.
It's real nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
it's a little darker, so it won't
Oh,
show as much dirt, I guess. So, but it's very nice.
oh, very nice. I'm very happy to hear that. If we don't have any more for board business, like we can move on to the library manager's report.
Yeah, so I'll start with finance stuff. We've just, end of September was a quarter of the way through the year. And so we should have spent a quarter of the money, or at least not gone over a quarter of the money in my fiscal mind right there. We have spent overall less than that. We're a little bit over on personnel with holidays that have come up. But as far as purchasing stuff or programming or any of that other stuff, we're only at 16% there. So, and lots of those line items that we've got, insurance is the big one. We've hit our 100% because you pay it at the first of the year. There's not another bill that comes due for that. So we do have a plan in place. We just actually spent about a third to 40% of our e-collection budget on adding some Ingram Advanced titles to our digital Overdrive, Overdrive Advanced, which what that is most of our ebooks are provided through the state, through their Overdrive collection. Thank you very much for them. But we pay extra in so that our users have more titles that they can look at right there. So we were able to buy, I actually got it right here, an extra 24 items. In case people are wondering about the price of that, that was $1,000 for 24 books. So ebooks are awesome, but they're getting used. So it is a good use of our money, and that's why we asked for that increase. I say we. That's why Amanda asked for that increase in the budget. I wasn't here for that part of it. But so basically just a budget overview. Wanted to let you know we're on track. We're not over. We're not in trouble anywhere there.
So Patrick, as the pandemic keeps going, has there been any consideration of maybe utilizing some of the collection dollars that we would have spent on physical items for e-learning? Or
yes, and I double checked I've double checked with Amanda, who set up the budget, as well as she said, I think this is the way, but meet with Tom and find out. Tom, city manager, who my meeting with is tomorrow, to make sure that as long as bottom line is good, we can kind of shuffle around things there without being in too much trouble there. She says she believes and understands that that's how the city has worked and let the library function in the past, but she just wants to make sure, or wants me to make sure that we're able to do that. So,
okay.
But that is definitely in the back of my mind. I'd rather get people things that they can use in the way that they can use them. So, next, I want to update on weeding. We're going through the collection. There are, just as a refresher, 2 main reports that we were looking at on the items to pull out of the collection. First was items that we've had for longer than 3 years that have never circulated, but they have to have been here for at least 3 years. And then the second report was items that we've had for at least 3 years that have circulated, but not within the last 3 years, if that makes sense there. So we have gone through all of the items that have never circulated and pulled a large chunk of them, reordered some in new formats, or some that were items that we should have or our classics, but were worn down because they were donations and we didn't purchase them new. So we've ordered replacements for those. And then as far as the not circulated in 3 years, we are only through the large print section. So we still have most of the nonfiction, all of the fiction collection, all of the children's, all of the teens left. And with that, we have 27 boxes packed and taped up and ready to go to Better World Books, and
Patrick?
six and a half books for the friend, or boxes for the friends.
Oh, okay. That was my question. How many of them would go with friends? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about, it on average, I mean, it depends on the collection, but it seems to be about, one of every 5 books is they don't want, but it's really sporadic through the collection.
Oh,
Really interesting. It was one specific author in the Western large print that they just none. But then row after row of large prints, they wanted them all. So it depends. Yeah. So, but that's where we're at with that. We have, my plan is once we get 40 boxes, because that's how many we ordered that are taped up and ready to go, is when we'll get the delivery scheduled and they'll be out of here. Nancy, just so you know, and everyone else actually in the meeting with Tom tomorrow, I met with, someone's gonna have to help me with his name, Stan, who runs the Friends Bookstore, last name.
Orton.
Thank you. Stan Orton, he stopped by and wanted to know if they could open the bookstore,
Great.
even
Good,
if it's
great.
limited. I told him I thought so, but I would again check with the city to make sure that that's okay with them and that we're following the same rules as any other business in town for that to open. And if that is in place, I'll check with Tom tomorrow. We'll get a plan in place, but then we can start bringing those boxes over and start handling the donations that go to the Friends or the discards that go to the Friends with that. So that's where that is.
Are the Friends, sorry, and I'm sorry if this, Nancy, are the Friends taking donations again, or are they still, is that still
Yeah.
closed?
Yes, that never stopped taking donations. Just
Oh,
didn't-
okay. I for
Yeah,
some
yeah.
reason thought you guys stopped because selfishly, I have like 3 boxes to give you.
Okay, but they have to go, the problem was, I should probably modify, the donations need to start at the library.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
you
so-
guys aren't taking them, right?
We
Well,
are now.
Oh, you are now. Okay.
Yep.
They weren't for a while there, that's what, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, but now that they are, then, because the library, the librarian gets first choice, and then what's left over, obviously, will come to the Friends. So.
Great.
But I'm happy to hear about Stan stopping by, because the Friends I sent out a newsletter this morning to all the members of the Friends in lieu of a general meeting. And that was one of the questions I asked Stan and Sandy. Sandy's his wife.
Mhm.
Actually, she does most of the work.
That's what he
but,
says.
Yeah. But, I would say, are you willing, you think, to open it up again if we could get permission? So good. Good news.
So, yeah. And
So,
we will, all the donations that have come in, Leslie, they're going through the same quarantine.
yeah, how long
process.
is the quarantine?
So the consortia has agreed upon at least 4 days.
Okay.
We've got room right now. So we've got I guess 6 tables set up because we don't have one for Sunday, but that way it's gone long enough. Everything's checking in fine free. So that hasn't been a problem. People, that is something that's been great. Just with everything going on, people
Like,
don't need to
maybe
worry
it
about
should be
library
that way
funds.
all the time.
Leslie, we can definitely put that on new business, and it's good to know that my philosophy might roll into the others. We'll talk
We'll
offline.
talk about
Well,
that.
that's a good question, Patrick. Did you get any book that's like 9 months overdue turned in?
Absolutely.
I just turned in a bunch of books that I've had literally since February.
Better
Um,
late than never.
Better
and
like,
we've also had, I understand that the library is not a money-making endeavor. We're not a good business model for people to follow if they want to turn a profit. But we're here for people. I know that up in Silverton, the library over there, there were some of their patrons that had library books out, but then they lost their homes in the fire. And one of the first things that they wondered about was, hey, are we going to have to pay replacement costs for these library books? And so luckily, myself, but everyone else in the consortium was like, no, we would like a list if you can let us know what we need to replace, but it's not coming at your dime. You've got other things
yeah,
to
they
worry about right
shouldn't
there.
be worrying about replacing their library books if they've lost, homes.
Yeah.
Um,
The last little bit of my report that I wanted to do was kind of a brag. I'll take credit from July on, but this has been going on since April. So since April, that's when we started virtual programming. We didn't do the in-person anymore. That's when they started putting up their first videos. And Leanne shared today, she's gone in and clicked on the views and however many we've got. So just since last month, we'll start with that. So since our very last meeting, which was September 28th, we've posted up 23 different programs. Mostly that's the 2 story times a week, the Maker Mondays every other week, the kids make craft things. And we had 621 different attendees, virtual views. And I know that those are more than one person watching, in part because last week, I think is when it finally posted, but we had the take and make kits for painting little pumpkins. We went and bought just the pumpkins that are yay big and put in like some to-go salad dressing containers, some different paints for people to use. And we had 134 different kits go out, but only 115 views. So that means there's more than one people. There were many families that were having more than one view right there. Anyway, since April, we've put up 118 different programs and had 6,838 views of those programs. That is something that as you look, or when it's made available, the statewide statistics will not show up because the way that we reported them to the state this year, they just wanted to know live programming. So if it was a Zoom program like this, or if it's our Tuesday toddler preschool or Wednesday preschool that Joe gets on, that counts as far as those numbers go. But the posted and recorded videos and then later views, they are not asking for those at this point from the state. That's why I wanted to make sure we brag about how awesome the library has been doing in getting those out there, since that's really where we focused, is the watch at your times. Now that does include our mystery book club. It does include the live preschool story times that we've been doing, but a vast majority of ours are the recorded and gone up later kinds of things. So yeah, those are just my main hits. I guess my one last question is, what is it that you want to know in these director's reports or manager reports?
I can go. I like knowing how the budget's going. So I appreciate that. And I do like these updates about just what's going on at the library and like, activities. Like I do like what you're saying, like different initiatives you're getting after, like the Weeding Project, how successful things like programming is, or if it's not. I mean, we have in the past had programming we've tried and it's, you fail forward, right? And I would also appreciate if there's any like roadblocks you're hitting that you need the board's help with, like if there's things that you need assistance with that we could help you with, or you need us to pass a resolution, like just like if there's any roadblocks that as a board we could be helpful with. That's kind of what I would like to hear.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's kind of like to develop, a monthly dashboard, a dashboard report to where when we're post-COVID, obviously a data point you would have is how many patrons visited on a daily basis and when are the peak periods and things like that. But it is nice to hear about how many views you've had on the virtual programming that you've done, as well as, how many, the boxes can probably be converted into linear feet of shelving that you've now freed up for redistribution of new titles or a new way of displaying things. And the
I'm
like.
really excited to get some face out displays so that we can advertise more marketing that way. But got to go through the rest of the collection first.
Yeah, and speaking, coming back to the Weeding Project, does anyone else have any feedback for Patrick of like things you want to hear from him during his report? Anyone?
Were you referring to the Weeding Project? Is that what
Oh yeah, I was about just to ask a question about it. But I just wanted to make sure nobody had any feedback for him based on his last question.
Well, I think what you said, Leslie, that, just keeping us up to date with the different projects that the library is doing for, and what age groups and youngsters and adults, and also if there's any Spanish programs going on or any of those things. Those are the sort of things that the board likes to, or in my experience, we kind of like to hear what, if it was a success or not. And then of course we're going to get into, every year it seems like we get into studying or working on our goals and objectives as the library, which ends up taking a bit of time for keep us legal, I guess. Is that what it is, Leslie? I think.
Yeah, I mean, there is, I think, some things legally that we have to do every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think that Patrick has it down pretty well now.
Yeah.
And again, I agree with you. If Patrick is anything that you need our help on, be sure.
Okay.
Though I just wanted to ask a quick question about the Weeding project. You said you were starting on nonfiction next.
Yes.
Are you going to take any consideration? I know we have a couple of like local history collections that while they might not circulate quite as high, that I think having them is a good for the community and kind of.
I am avoiding the aviation and the Oregon collection. Yes.
That's what
That's not the question you asked, but that is what I am doing.
That's what I was going for, but I was trying to be like more general. So you
very tactful. Well done.
Tactful. You saw what I was putting down. Yeah, the aviation collection and the Oregon collection. I mean, I think those are like knowing we have those is more important, I think, sometimes than they circulate. But like, I know members of the community who really appreciate that we have those collections. So I just was curious about how you were going to approach them.
No, and they fall into our collection development policy.
Okay.
We're supposed to have a local section and a local history based on the collection development policy. So that is one of the purposes, according to this strategic plan that I am going off of, that we exist, and it's not my place to tell us that we're wrong. Everything else I'm following I don't know if everyone is familiar with the CREW, continuous review and weeding, but that is what I'm going for on the X number of years condition, things like that. So that's why we did that.
Patrick, a clarification question. I know at the Wu Library, it sounds strange when I first heard it when I came here, but they don't want patrons to put the books back on the shelf. We've got carts everywhere, so you can track the internal uses that wouldn't show up as a checkout. Do you take that tack when you're open, or?
I don't believe it's been done in the past. I've never found any internal use stats in going through my files. It is something I would absolutely be interested in seeing right there.
Because the long-term joke, I've been at 2 different universities that went through weeding projects, and the librarians always wanted to give faculty a first shot at buying stuff and everything, but they would have extreme resistance to purging things from the collection because they'd be volumes that hadn't circulated for 17 years. But it's there. Every collection should have that. So it's kind of like the aviation and Oregon history that Leslie was talking about. But in a public, city library, you don't have unlimited space to be a dust collector.
We don't have space to be a just in case library. There are things that we should have. I mean,
well,
I
can I
may tackle
make a
reference later, but yeah.
comment here with regarding the aviation collection is that I don't know how many years ago, it had to be more like 10 years ago, there was a big drive on for purchase of those aviation books by the general public, not general, but the public that is interested in that. And so most of those books, the Friends collected the money and they were purchased through the Friends
Hmm.
donations specifically for aviation books. So I would think it would be an unfortunate thing if you purged them.
Yeah, that's why we're not looking
Yeah,
at those
yeah.
at this point.
Okay. I just
Yeah, and I think that once Patrick, if he's following like a formula, like once he goes through nonfiction, I think that the amount of books that we'll purge from the collection will more than make up for the room that these two kind of pretty small collections take up.
Yeah.
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 So, because our nonfiction section's pretty stuffed.
Correct. Can confirm. But I want to, there are some shelves that when I got here, there was no room for books, so they were resting on top of the other books, and that's just not something that we can have.
It's actually a safety hazard.
Is it?
Yes, technically.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
they fall on your feet or something? Or-
It also makes it less likely for all of, I mean, not an issue currently, but if you come to a shelf that is stocked full, you're less likely to want to browse any of those books because you don't want to take it out and any of that. And so we're going to, the whole reason behind weeding, besides having a appealing collection, is making it more accessible for people to browse and find what it is that they're looking for. So anyway, I'm happy to talk weeding anytime, because we can do this for forever.
And I apologize to the rest of the board. Weeding is like my favorite thing in library science. Like, I always joke that if I could find a library job where all I did was weed, that would be like my dream job. So
It's kind of like the season right now. You got to have leaf drops so new leaves can grow. You know?
yeah, so I'm just
Great.
so does anyone have any more questions or comments for Patrick for the report? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the committee reports. And Nancy, that is you.
Yeah, Patrick.
I've got to,
Oh,
yep.
Patrick has one too. Sorry.
Oh no, she's just asking me, I've got to stop sharing the one screen and open up the other, and I've got to
When-
find it.
With my financial report on it. The report is 10-month long report because we did not meet. The Friends normally meet quarterly.
I can try and zoom in on that. Sorry, I see folks.
Oh, yeah, there you go. But we didn't meet in, I think we met in January, March. No, we didn't meet in April or July, so, okay. Anyway, so this is the donations, the income and the expenses we've had since January 27th, which is our last report. You'll notice that when you brought up Overdrive, Patrick, that the city, you'll see there that the Friends gave $1,500 for ebooks. So that was.
Yep. And
Yep.
that is our, just jump in with that real quick. In
Okay.
talking with Leanne, we are planning 3 big orders, and one of them is Friends, and
Yeah.
2 of them are with our city funds. So
Great.
I promise we'll bug you later.
Yeah, because that was normally when we would have a Friends meeting. Part of the agenda would be the ask by Robin, by librarian or Leanne or something like that. And so those are things that Joeline and Leanne and Robin all had in mind. And that way we could use our money, exactly the way the library needs it. So anyway, there it is. As you can see, we spent more money than we made in the last 10 months. So our income our balance is down. We have $12,000 in the bank account. And you'll notice that the 3 funds, we've got it marked into funds: building fund, general fund, and Isaacson fund. And the building fund is because when our experiences, when we go out for grants and we have any kind of capital improvements that we want to make, or any kind of thing, like when we wanted the awning situation in the back, the grant people asked well, do you have a fund for the buildings, for the capital improvements? So, but the fact that all the money is just in one big pot at Umpqua Bank, but we can, and Isaacson Fund is one that the Isaacson, Mrs. Isaacson, for the last 15 years, has sent a substantial amount of money every year. And so I just decided, and she had specific requests that it be for children's books. So whenever I have a request from Leanne or whatever for children's books, I try to take it out of that fund until then it goes in the general fund after that. So anybody have any questions about it? No?
Just Nancy, it's just to be expected that usually we have more donations than this. I think.
Oh yeah,
Due to the pandemic.
we haven't been down to 8. We've been at around 18 to 20,000 for the last 5 or 6 years. Because for one thing, we had to, we've had no fundraisers for nearly a year now. We had the library, the movie fundraiser always brings in several $1,000s. And then the bookstore that Sandy and Stan run, let's see, 155. So that probably would have been just for 2 months, 155 in the bookstore. And that generates, so by the time all those things come in, it starts to add up. Plus around this time, well, no, in December, we'll start getting some donations for Christmas.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, this is the lowest we've been in a long time. So hopefully, I don't know what we can do about fundraisers, and one of the things.
I mean, I think there's some things we could consider, like virtual type stuff. And also, do Friends of the Library, do you guys pay dues? Like, do you pay to be a member of the Friends of the Library?
No dues.
No dues. Okay. Yeah, because I know there's some ways, like, I used to belong to a Friends of the Library that had like dues, but because you paid dues, like, and it was a much larger library consortium, but like, because if you were a member, you got like first crack at all the used books at the used book sale. And there was like perks baked into being a friend. And like they average, I just, if you want to talk, I would be happy to talk. I know I'm not a member of the Friends right now, and it's mostly been because of what's going on with my daughter.
Sure.
And
well, we consider everybody on the board a friend, and anybody who has at least been interested in the library.
Yeah.
No, one of the problems is and we tried it when we were doing a huge fundraising back when we were building the new library. I mean, there were just scads and scads of opportunities to donate money on different kinds of projects. There was the quilt, there was bookbinders, there's buying furniture. I mean, there was a million things you could spend your money on towards the new library. But once that was over, then we tried to see if we could do a membership thing, but there weren't any benefits to speak of to the membership. There wasn't anybody willing to do a monthly newsletter, for example, which takes a lot of work, doing that kind of stuff. And the bookstore that Sandy and Stan, that kind of is available every week to anybody, and it's sort of, so we kind of ran out of ideas of making a benefit to your membership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. But yeah, I would love, if you think about it, Leslie, and if you come up with something, and I'll be happy to talk about it.
Yeah. And just, there's other, I think, like, I think because we value the Friends, and maybe also get you some new members. So you could take a break from holding a position if you wanted.
We could do some younger members, people under 80, would be nice.
I was gonna say I'm not actually that young, so
I know. But sometimes sometimes it's hard, well, these are very unusual times. So
Oh, yeah.
you can't really judge anything by what's going on right now. I sent out a letter. Marilyn wrote up a nice newsletter, bringing forth the fact that we can't have a meeting and we just kind of re-elect the same state, because I wanted to make sure that we abided by the bylaws and that we had an annual election and whatnot. And so unless we have some kind of objection, we'll just continue on as we have in the past with the membership and the officers and do the best we can in terms of meeting together in online or something like that. So, and I will continue. And Patrick, if you continue to sell the Storm books, I'll continue to collect the money.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I'd never heard of them, seen them in a stack before, and then in 1 week we had 2 different people.
Interesting.
One, yeah, clear
It's
up from
October.
Newburgh had our copy checked out and then said, hey, I want to buy one. And then one more like the next day from here. So
Well, it's the anniversary. That's
is
right.
that what it was?
Yeah, the Columbus Day Storm
Oh yeah.
was what it was all about. Have you not read the book yet?
I haven't read a lot of books. There's a lot of books I haven't read.
Yes, and Patrick, you're not from this area, so you probably will have quite the emotional attachment to the Columbus Day Storm, as some people do.
Yeah.
That was a very diplomatic answer, Patrick. But the Storm did get the front cover of, was it Life magazine?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
And when
on
we
my
were-
to read. It's in my to read pile.
When we were going around trying to sell that book, one of the places we went was the what's the retirement community, Capitol Manor, and the photographer that did that life picture lived there.
Oh,
He
wow.
actually came to our thing, which was really kind of an interesting presentation. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so I'm finished. If you have no more questions, I've paid all the government bills, and Secretary of State and Justice Department. They all get their little fees. And so now we just have to wait and see if we can collect some more money somehow. And maybe if Stan and Sandy are willing to do a book sale, and if the city is willing to let them do that,
Yeah.
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, and I know maybe we can advertise it somehow, because I know a lot of people being stuck at home are looking for, things to do
Sure.
and read. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I know I went to a craft store this weekend, and they are cleaned out. Like, I think people are getting a lot of new hobbies slash.
Finished baking bread. That was the big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So,
Okay.
One thing for Nancy before we move on. Nancy, can we set up a time tomorrow to talk about that other movie licensing?
Oh, I can, as soon as I get off, I'm scared to go through my computer while I'm online with you guys.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. But as soon as we get off, I'll go online, and I have all my treasurer's reports stored,
Okay.
and that'll tell me. But that number sounds like, not number, that MNLPC or whatever it is. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But I can get back to you this afternoon
Okay.
after the meeting's over.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's coming back for you, Leslie.
No problem. Okay, so next is communications. We have anything for that?
I don't believe we currently have a communications committee, so no.
What would it do if we did?
Marketing and advertising is how I've viewed
Ah.
that, having only ever seen it on an agenda with nothing after it.
Lending.
Yes, so let's move on to our next business, which is the unfinished business for last week, which is the hotspot lending policy. I think you were going to come back to us with your recommendation on a policy / update on, I think you were applying for a grant. if I remember
Yeah,
right.
so a couple different things. First of all, I promise I didn't drop the ball. I told you all I would have a draft policy to you. But hearing back from CCRLS, I realized that we were too ahead of the curve. And so that's why you don't have one to look over today. The word today, so Leslie mentioned a grant. I did apply for a grant and I did find out we didn't get that grant. So we're not getting extra hotspots, but next Friday, the first Friday of every month is the next directors meeting for the Polk, Yamhill, Marion counties, PIM. Sorry, I probably said most of those words except Polk incorrectly, but I'm learning pronunciation, I promise. So CCRLS is the group that got the grant, and because of the amount and because of their purchasing rules, they had to go out and actually get 3 different bids from 3 hotspot providers to figure out who they could go through to purchase these for them. They just got the last one back actually this morning. So that's what I heard from Doug, who's the interim director there. And so they have to go through their internal structure to get approved who they're going out to bid for. When they first wrote up the grant, it was, however, written that we, Independence, was written to get about 10 hotspots coming to us. At the meeting, he anticipates at the meeting next Friday, we all either look at their legwork and agree. When they did it was based kind of population based. So larger members of the consortia got more, smaller got fewer, but we may revisit it and look at need based rather than just population size. But right now we're kind of ballparking that we're going to get 10. And because it is a consortia-wide thing and not just us getting it, we are going to try and have everyone's policies be the same so that when they set up every member library's policies be the same.
Oh, okay.
So that when they set up the circulation parameters, et cetera, in the shared catalog, they only have to do it one time and it will be it'll be in place for every library. Now, it will still be kind of the things that we talked about. These 10 devices or 5 or 20, however we end up getting, will be for our patrons. They're not going to go interlibrary loan anywhere else. They're not going to be sent on the shuttle truck to go over to Dallas or Monmouth or anywhere else. They're ours. But at this meeting on Friday, there are Woodburn and I think McMinnville as well, possibly Salem, but I'm not sure, already have hotspots in place that they've purchased on their own. So I anticipate that what we will do is we will say, let's just copy and paste those policies that are already in place to bring before our boards to get signed out. So since we didn't get the grant and there was a delay on CCRLS, that is why you don't have a draft policy in place for you. However, after next Friday's meeting, when hopefully they have more, we'll be able to say, hey, this is Woodburn's or this is whoever's that we as a group of directors in the PIM consortia would like to adopt. We can then bring that to you to adopt individually. They have told us that there is room there is wiggle room if there's something that everyone else agrees on that we absolutely hate, or otherwise that we don't have to do it exactly the same. But that would be a good place to start with one member of the consortium who already has something that then could be put in place. Steve, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I finally
You're
found my
Zoom
raise hand
Pro.
button. First of all, I think it makes sense to have a consortium level policy on this because the perimeters of city districts and whatnot get pretty blurry sometimes. But I also just wanted to give you a thumbs up, or commend you for going after that grant proposal. I remember a month ago you explained that this was an extreme long shot because it was to cover the whole nation or something, and what the odds are were not good at all, but you went through and tried anyway, and that I wanted to give a positive comment on.
Thanks. I'll fail forward all the time. Isn't that what Leslie said?
Yes. That's a Nikeism, by the way. Fail forward.
Oh,
Thank you, Stephen.
good job.
Yeah, no, it's great. So is there any more questions about the hotspots? I think we'll just hold, I guess, until you have the managers meeting and you have the managers meeting. And I agree that probably having one lending policy for CCRLS is probably better than trying to draft our own.
Now, legally, you will have to adopt it. It has
Yes.
to be our policy. Every library board is going to have to adopt that policy or whatever policy, but it's kind of going to come from
Yeah.
them down instead of us up.
Yeah, well, and it helps us align because with the CCRLS cards, I mean, I go to the Monmouth Library all the time. I go to Salem, so as long, with having one policy that keeps the hotspots in our community, that'll be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any new business?
I was not told of any, so no.
Does anyone have any new business?
Nope.
I just have one request, and Patrick, it probably would be you to be buttonholing it, and it's got nothing to do with vanity, but I do believe that some of the documents on the city website for like who are the board of directors, just like the position I'm filling isn't vacant anymore. And in all honesty, I can't remember seeing Roxy's name on a list that I saw there, so I don't, maybe I just missed it, but be good to peruse our websites up to date. It's always hard.
Okay, and that's on the city one, right? Where it lists the board members. Okay, I will reach out to them and let them know. I know I had to do the same thing because for a long time, right on the call to order on our agenda here where it says contact Karen, for the first few months I was here, it said contact Robin.
Mhm.
So just little things that we've got to fix every time. That's fine. I will do that.
All right. That sounds great. Is there any other new business? All right. Well, I guess it is 4:55. Wow, we almost went an hour today, and almost our full time. Yay! And I guess we'll adjourn.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Bye, everyone.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Thank you, Jason.